I got asked the other day about what is the one thing I would recommend to people that would have the biggest impact on their health and wellness. So apart from sleep, I thought that protein, an increasing amounts of protein people had during the day would probably have the most bang for their buck. And it would fix a lot of underlying issues that they face with their health and wellness. So today I'm going to talk about protein and how much is too much. So the RDA of most governments talk about the recommended daily allowance of protein being in the range of something ridiculous like a 0.8 per kilogram of weight. So somebody like me that's 80 kilograms, I would be, or the government would be recommending to have 65 grams of protein per day as my serving, or that's enough for me to live on. And if you think about that number, that's 2 chicken breasts basically of protein a day. And I think this is where some of the misunderstanding or the misconceptions happen and the negative thoughts towards excess amounts of protein is because of government regulation or recommendations when it comes to protein and the amount that you should be having. And I think the language being used is more to the tone of that's the amount of protein you need to live versus the amount of protein you need to thrive. And there's a big difference between the two. So when we look at the literature a bit more, then we can see that the actual amount should be closer to 2 grams of protein per body weight or 1 kilogram of body weight. So somebody like me that's about 80 grams of body weight, I should be having about 160 grams of protein per day, which makes a bit more sense, and it equates to about 40 grams of protein per meal that I'm having, which is about a chicken breast and a bit in terms of quantity. So that makes a bit more sense for people that are active and are looking to build more muscle. So I know people are going to talk about the toxicity of protein and too much protein is bad for you and it can do this and that, but we need to understand what the toxicity of protein is, and mainly we're referring to the toxicity of the kidney. So at what point does the amount of protein start to affect the kidneys negatively that it can't excrete the nitrogen, abundance of nitrogen in the body because of the protein? So what we're understanding now more and more that number looks more in the range of about 3 to 4 grams of protein per body weight. And at that point, then we start to see, and it's not fully toxic, but we start to see the toxicity starting to take place where we start to overload the kidneys and it's unable to keep up with breaking down of the nitrogen within the body. But when we look at those numbers, and you're talking about 3 to 4 grams per body weight, that means that somebody like me again, 80 kilograms, you're looking at an excess of 240 grams of protein per day, which is a lot of protein and in my opinion is very difficult if not impossible to have. You're talking about 60 grams of protein per meal. And if I'm having 4 meals a day, that means that I'm going to be having a big steak every meal, 2 chicken breasts every meal. To understand how much quantity of food that is every single day for it to become toxic is quite high, and it's very unlikely that that's going to happen. The amount of protein in most of my clients, and this is why I say it's the biggest bang for your buck, it's an easy win, but the impact on it is huge within your health and wellness. This is why I always emphasize protein, and it's the biggest bang for your buck because it's the easiest change in your habits, yet it has the most impact in everything else that's going to happen within your health and wellness. And unfortunately, most people kind of look towards protein and are either scared to do that or don't believe that the impacts are going to be that great. And the reality is protein is macronutrient that is going to make you feel full when you eat. So you're not going to eat other things beyond that. And if you fill up on protein first, then your carbs and the fats later on are going to be controlled a bit more. And you're going to feel fuller for a longer period of time once you have the appropriate amount of protein per day. The other thing is with the protein, it's a building block of everything in your body, apart from your muscles as well, which is important. But when you are active, when you are lifting weights or you're doing resistance training, you need that amount of protein to be able to repair. And it's not about becoming bulky or having bigger muscles, it's about allowing the body to repair itself to go on to the next day. Now, the more muscle mass you have, obviously, the more your metabolism is going to increase, which means that you're burning more calories at rest. So it's a win-win on both cases. Now, this is a bigger issue when we look at the female population, where not only is resistance training an issue with that, and most of them don't want to lift heavy weights because they don't want to bulk up, which I always find very funny because it's so hard for anybody to bulk up or become bigger in that sense. But women are maybe a bit more susceptible to more problems when it comes to protein, because they will start to go into osteoporosis if they don't have the proper resistance training that's going on. And then you need the protein to be able to complement whatever training you're doing. So the older the female population gets, the weaker they're going to get when it comes to that. And poor eating habits in combination to that is just a recipe for a disaster in the long run. Simply put, when I look at the protein and the quantities that most people have, I would say with the people that I've dealt with and seen throughout the years, most people, probably about 95%, are under eating with the protein. And it's a basic calculation of 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. And you can easily calculate that. And then divide that up between the meals that you have during the day. And it's an easy win. You'll see a lot of changes happening over weeks and months if you stick to that and you're consistent with that. And unfortunately, most people really underlook the value of protein and having that. And if you're finding difficulty having protein, then it's very easy just to add a protein shake into your daily routine. And it adds more, maybe 30 to 40 grams of protein into your diet, which will help a lot in the long run. Enjoy your evening. Hope you benefit from this video about protein. Think about your protein. Protein is important. Have protein. Lots and lots of protein. Steaks and eggs and chicken, fish, seafood. So like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video.